Okay, welcome to episode 22. I didn't actually put it in the title, but it's episode 22. So, for those keeping score out there, there were some things that happened very recently up to this episode of the podcast. We were thinking maybe only one or two things had sort of happened, but a couple additional big things. I hate to be this guy, but Tales is obviously a big game release, but I think Jeff leaving Blizzard's the big deal here. I think Jeff leaving Blizzard's a really big deal. I'm just being honest. That's my opinion. So that was a really big thing to see Jeff leaving Blizzard after he had been there for so long. I don't actually know what he worked on before Overwatch. I would actually love to know that. What's wrong with my microphone? I don't understand what's wrong with my microphone. But
yeah, it actually sounds a little louder and a little, I don't know. I can't really describe it.
It sounds louder. Oh, that's interesting.
Maybe a little muffled too.
Really? It's the same, it's the same mic I've been always using. I did mess with some of my settings. I can, let's get rid of the suppression thing. There you go. So, I got rid of some filter on there as suppression. I've been messing with my settings to try and get the mic quality to improve. So, I don't know. Does it sound better or worse? I have to know. Otherwise, I'm going to have to mess with it again. But I didn't change it yesterday. I didn't change it really yesterday, so I don't... It sounds worse? Jesus Christ. All right, well, I don't know. I can't fix it right now. I can manually change the sound to be lower, but I'm not going to mess with the filters right now. I haven't really done much, to be honest. The only thing that's changed is I unplugged my microphone yesterday to play Fortnite with Tricourage and with Brea. That was the only thing that changed, is I unplugged my microphone for that. So
do you want to try the tried and true unplug it and plug it back?
It's
strategy?
I mean, I'll do it.
Yeah, just do it.
I've just done it. I just did it by doing that. That was the unplug and plug it back in. I don't know what's worse about it. I would have to hear the playback of it, but I mean, for you, does it sound that much worse?
I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it's different. As I said, it's maybe a little louder than usual and slightly muffled, but
I don't. Again, I have changed nothing in my OBS settings to warrant that. So I don't know what to say. I'd have to mess with the filters. Like, I put on a noise gate so that things wouldn't be you wouldn't hear some background noise. I don't feel like getting rid of that, to be honest. And again, I haven't really changed anything. So that's
it's just
okay. Well, whatever. If unless it's like bad to the point where you can't stand being here, then you should tell me. But like I said, I haven't changed much. I really haven't. The only thing I did was like I messed with the I did like unplug certain things before and plug them back in. So, but during the StarCraft stream, I streamed yesterday for StarCraft and nobody said anything then. So it must have been the Fortnite thing. Anyway, so yeah, we got some stuff to talk about today for sure, and we're gonna do some like upcoming game predictions. And the theme of that will be predictions is in, do we think the game will do well? Do we think it will sell well? Things like that. Not like other types of predictions, just like specifically saying like, oh, we think, here's game X, like Tales of Arise. Do we think the game is going to be good? Do we think the game is going to sell particularly well? Things like that. And that'll be sort of more towards the end of the episode today. So, okay. Let's for the intro today, I would say, for at least from what I would like to convey in particular, every Tuesday I'm going to be streaming on the podcast channel, unless something comes up or I end up having to do TA work or something like that for the summer. I'll be on Tuesdays. Yesterday I played StarCraft 2. I really enjoyed that. There was I found a campaign arcade mode that let me play the StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty missions, but as the other side. So rather than playing as Jimmy, you would play as whoever the faction he is fighting against. So I mean, ends up being the Zerg, Kerrigan. You could be the Dominion, or you could end up playing as the Tal'Darim, the Protoss. So that's what I did this past Tuesday. It was fun. I probably won't be playing StarCraft 2 every Tuesday, but I figured maybe we can have like some pretty fun games we can play on Tuesdays, and possibly maybe like a co-op games, just things that people can potentially participate in. And StarCraft is an option where people could participate in that. Well, I'll come up with some other ideas, but those will be happening every Tuesday. If you want to check that out, I will try my best on Tuesdays to be on in the mid-afternoon. So yesterday I was on at 3 o'clock Pacific time, so 6 o'clock Eastern. That's generally going to be when I would like to hop on, and I'll play for a couple hours. So that's my side of the intro. Spoon, do you want to add anything for the intro for the for example, you guys watched World Ends With You, excuse me, this weekend? And that's, I assume, happening this weekend as well.
Yeah, we're gonna continue that, watching The World Ends With You this week, and watch the first 2 episodes last week on Sunday, or this past Sunday, and we will watch the 3rd episode this week. I think Sunday's gonna be best generally, so we'll probably stick with Sunday. Sometime probably in the afternoon, early to mid-afternoon Pacific time. So late afternoon to early evening Eastern, if that works for people. Otto will find a way to catch you up if you're still interested.
Yeah. This weekend is a good time to do it.
Okay. And I'm actually thinking about, again, we'll see what the options are and what the deal is and if people are interested, but I'm thinking about maybe keeping this up as sort of a running thing that, every anime season, and usually there's 4 per year, so 1 for every actual season, spring, summer, winter, and fall. We'll maybe pick like one new anime from the season to watch as a group. Again, if people are interested. If people aren't interested, then we won't do it. But
yeah,
it's not. I don't think it's a ridiculous investment to spend 20 to 30 minutes a week to watch 1 episode every week. And if it's a seasonal show, it's a weekly show. There's going to be 1 episode every week. So I think that's a reasonable request for people who are interested. Again, if there's no interest, then we won't do it. But I think it's a cool idea to do and just watch together. Yeah, there are some other good shows this season that I've started watching as well, but we won't. Yeah, we'll stick to 1 a season, and this time I just since I started this season, I just picked The World Ends With You, and we'll just go with that.
Okay.
So yeah, and as for my streams to the podcast channel, I'm actually thinking of starting back up and streaming on the podcast channel a little bit when I have time. Likely Monday, Thursday, or Friday.
Okay.
It'll probably be evenings, evenings Pacific time, as opposed to afternoon, because it just doesn't work super well for me, because I usually get out of class around 4, and it's fine for on podcast days. I get out of class at 4 or 3:50 actually, and then I just hop right back on here. But I think I would prefer for my personal schedule to stream after dinner. So that would be like 6:30 or 7 Pacific usually, which I know for our East Coast folks is pretty late, and I won't dock you or, harp on you for not showing up if you can't, because I know that that's pretty late. But and yeah, my idea right now, I think I'm gonna do Fire Emblem Three Houses, which will be a replay. Well, I'll be playing one of the other routes because I played Black Eagles the first time, but I will be playing that. The other thing I thought of was Tales of Berseria, which actually would go well with Arise coming out in September. But I know you were thinking about playing that as well, not necessarily on the podcast, but I know you were thinking about playing it. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just leave Otto to play that and not stream it.
Okay.
So I don't know. Yep. So I'll keep people updated on that when I might stream. But yeah, maybe tomorrow night actually, or Friday night.
Okay.
This week.
Sounds good to me. Well, let's get into the weekly. Let's focus, like, let's push away like the sort of upcoming game releases, like Tales goes into that bucket because we'll do predictions on that anyway. So we'll talk about that when we talk about that game. When we get through the predictions, we'll have that set aside already for there. Let's focus specifically on the other news, and for that we have 3 different articles to take a look at. Again, the Tales stuff we'll talk about when we do some of our predictions, because we're gonna talk about Tales of Arise during predictions anyway, because it's an upcoming game. So let's move to the other overlay here, which I have not set up the Chrome for, so there you go. For the starting point on this, the initial news on this was that Days Gone, and we did mention it last week, as I recall. Days Gone is not going to get a sequel, and it turns out that the director of the game was not happy about that. And you know what? I understand. Maybe it was their like crowning jewel of a game, and they were super passionate about it. Okay, totally get your passion, and you really wanted to get a sequel because you had a story to tell. As a side note, for PlayStation Plus people, Days Gone is free right now, and I'm actually downloading it onto my PlayStation. So I was thinking about at least checking it out a little bit. But you know what? This particular part of this is the director said in a quote, "If you love a game, buy it at fucking full price." They obviously censored that, but I'm not going to censor it because whatever. And we talked about this a little bit, Spoon, before today when we have our normal podcast meeting, and I will give my initial thoughts first, and then you're welcome to obviously jump in or maybe give a little bit of a disagreement. But obviously, again, you know what? Maybe this is this particular studio's like passion project type deal, where it's the game they put all their heart and soul into, and they really wanted to tell this story in Days Gone. Full disclosure, I personally know nothing about the game's story. I just know that it's a zombie. It's a zombie game. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm sure this game is a solid game. I don't think I've heard like really bad things about it. I've just heard it's a solid game. That being said, to directly to the quote, "If you love a game, buy it at effing full price." Yeah, that's not how this works. That's not how this works, buddy. Because what this particular quote means is that it's our fault that we didn't buy the game at full price, therefore we shouldn't complain. That's not how this works. If it is also onto you, and to put the blame on yourselves to a certain extent for not making, potentially, maybe you got to make a game that's worth the full price. You know, some people are going to get it. They're going to see reviews. If they don't see those like really good reviews, or maybe it's an IP or a studio that has a specific, following to it, they're probably going to buy it at full price. But in this particular case, I mean, obviously some people are going to say, okay, I'm going to buy this at full price, buy it right away, pre-order it, whatever, and they'll, either they'll have buyer's remorse or they'll love it. But it's not the customer's fault completely for not buying a game at full price. That's a bit of a poor take, and it also it's kind of a childish response. So I'm not buying your response. I feel bad because I'm sure you're frustrated because this was like your big project that you guys were working on, and you really wanted that sequel, and getting rejected, told no in this case, obviously hurts. But to say it's the customer's fault here, I think it's a bad take. I think it's a bad take, and it's a sore loser's take. So yeah, there are plenty of people that won't know if the game is good until they wait for some reviews, and if they see mediocre reviews, they're going to wait for discounts on a game, because that's just kind of what you're putting a value onto a title. And if you feel like it's not a $60 game and you want to buy it for $40, that's not necessarily your fault. To say that's your fault, it's weird. It's a bad take. I think it's also you, the game developer. It's you guys have to look at yourselves too, and maybe say, why didn't people buy this at full price? Instead of saying, oh, you should have bought it at full price if you wanted a sequel. It's like, well, okay, but why do you think people didn't buy it at full price? Was it because it wasn't a special game? Or is it because it's just another zombie game? Or maybe it just had not a great story to tell? If that's the case, does it really deserve a sequel then? So, bad take is what I'm going to say. And then I'll let you, Spoon, go ahead if you have additional things to add.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think pretty much. I think he's being a little. Yeah, he's obviously just frustrated, and I think what I read is, he was on some other podcast somewhere when he said this game director. I think that's what I heard. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Mm.
And he was probably just venting, and this was more born out of frustration, like you said. Like maybe they wanted to make a sequel, or they were disappointed that this game didn't do as well as they would have liked. We did talk about it last week. Apparently, this game did make money. It just wasn't a huge hit or a huge blockbuster that Sony is kind of expecting out of their big first-party exclusives.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, that can be attributed to a number of things. Maybe it was poor marketing, and maybe, the game, just didn't look that good going up to launch. Maybe I don't remember what the reviews looked like. I don't remember any exceptional. I think they were pretty middling. I think they were like 7s and 8s from what I remember.
I'm gonna pull them up right now. Go ahead, keep going.
You can pull up Metacritic and see what it looks like. But part of it, I mean, for me, just from my perspective, when I saw this game announced and advertised, I was like, oh, generic zombie game? Yeah, I'm not interested. I don't care. Like, okay, it's got a 71, which is, again, pretty middling. It's not terrible, but
it's for Metacritic. That's not great. It's like it's go just like yeah, it's okay. User score of 8.3 is pretty solid though. That's pretty solid. 8.3 for a user score. I think that's good. But the actual critic score, 71 is not great. It's like, if anything, okay. But keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying and what Tri said. I think that's a little bit below average.
Really?
For Metacritic specifically, okay. I would say that's below average. I mean, it's not a 7 is not a bad score at all, and I wouldn't see a 7 and be like, oh, that's a bad game. I'm not gonna buy that game. Like that. That's not anything that would happen for me. But
who gave this 100? Somebody gave this 100. Somebody said this is the crowning jewel of gaming achievement.
I mean, there's always.
I don't know.
Reviews are variable. There's always gonna be some people that really love it. I mean, 10 or 100 is kind of.
That's a bold take for a critic. It's bold for a critic.
Yeah. There's probably a couple at the bottom that are like 4 and 3, which is like, does this game deserve a 4 or a 3? Probably not. Like, so.
Yeah, I mean, this is just picking and choosing.
Yeah, so there's a 30 at the bottom.
Yeah,
so
from
it's like,
Slant Magazine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, again, as I was saying before we got into this Metacritic, for me, when I saw this game advertised, I was like, okay, this looks like a generic zombie game. I'm really not interested in another generic zombie game. This was when we were far past the time when zombie games were a big thing, and they were kind of worn out and dry. Occasionally, you'd get another one like The Last of Us was kind of on the tail end of it, but that game was really good in most people's minds, so they got away with it.
Right.
And it was also Naughty Dog, so they don't care.
Naughty Dog plus one. Naughty Dog plus
Yeah,
one.
Naughty Dog gets like +1 or +2 automatically. And yeah, I mean this game, from what I heard, also from what I'm remembering when the game came out, that the beginning of it is not great. It's kind of a slow starter, and the main character's a little unlikable at first, and then it gets much better once you get further in the game. Um, Again, that's just going off pure memory
Sure.
from what I remember hearing when the game came out. I could be misremembering entirely, but I haven't played it. And yeah, I mean, again, I think this, like, yeah, they just didn't do anything with, I guess mostly with the marketing and the advertising and the presentation of this game to make it stand out. And again, I'm trying to remember back. I remember reading some previews and stuff from it from, the typical gaming sites, IGN and etc. And most of them, from what I remember, were kind of lukewarm on it from the previews. They didn't do anything to say this game looked incredible. And so yeah, like, this game just didn't stand out in the pre-release material. And I mean, and I guess at least from the user score, the people who've played it, maybe it was better than advertised. But unfortunately, if your game is not advertised well and your pre-release material is not great, you're not going to get people to go out and
Right.
buy it for $60
Exactly.
on day one, or within the first couple weeks or
Right.
months maybe after release. So yeah, I mean, I don't know whose fault it is entirely, but I would say it's certainly not the gamers. I would say it's more their fault than our fault
I would say
for
it's Sony's
not
fault.
buying it.
I think
Yeah.
it's Sony's fault. And we talked about before that. Didn't you mention like Sony's looking for blockbusters only? This isn't a blockbuster Metacritic score. This isn't a blockbuster review score. This is like, okay, you had your chance, you didn't quite get it there. You can't get a sequel. Blockbuster.
Yeah.
So this is Sony's fault. They want blockbusters. If they weren't so concerned about that, they may have greenlit a second game and said, okay, middle of the road scores for this exclusive. Try again. See if you can improve on some things. Then yeah, I mean, like that's reasonable. But I think if Sony is truly looking for their exclusive to be blockbusters, which I wouldn't be that surprised about, given what we've already talked about, then Days Gone is not a blockbuster game. Like, it's not. It's silly. So I think it's Sony's fault. I think blaming customers for like not buying your mediocre game for full price it's a bad take. It's a bad take. For even if you're frustrated. So I'm not buying it for sure. So
Yeah, I'm not really buying it either. Again, obviously the dude is frustrated, and you get that, but sorry.
this stuff happens. It's tough. It really is.
It's a business. Sony wants to make money, and your game, while it made some money, didn't make enough.
And there are several good games that are perceived as good games that don't get sequels or that don't get more sequels because they may not be that lucrative blockbuster, or they're just like sort of going on the downturn. It's not unheard of. Obviously, you feel bad, but yeah, it's definitely like not the best take to be like, oh, it's your fault, customer. You didn't buy my game for full price. Like, but was it worth full price? So anyway, I'm seeing this Mortal Kombat ad. Does anybody want to watch Mortal Kombat for movie night, by the way? Anybody want to watch that?
It would probably be entertaining.
It would be entertaining as hell. I imagine it'll just be like the worst plot, one of the worst plots you'll ever see. Okay. Any added points? Otherwise, we'll move to the PlayStation 3 and PS Vita stores, or being continuing operations.
Let's move on.
Got it. Okay, so PlayStation was initially, I don't remember how long ago they mentioned this before. It must have been like several weeks ago, I feel.
It was like, it wasn't that long. It was like a week or two.
Really? I thought it was... Okay. Sure. So, PlayStation had mentioned they're going to close down the PS3 and PS Vita stores. They're going to obviously end operations of them. And people didn't like that because people still play the PS3. And there's actually, I would imagine, like, it's easier to access PS3 games through, you know, especially if you're trying to find like digital copies of it and things like that. And also, I don't know what the restrictions were. I think if you owned the game, you could still download it. That would be something I actually didn't know. But people didn't like that they were going to close operations for those. There's a vast library of titles in the PlayStation 3 store. So that would have been a shame, and people expressed that. So PlayStation came out and said, okay, we're going to continue operations for it because you guys were so angry. So PlayStation notified players that the PlayStation Store for PS3 and PS Vita devices they were planning to end in the summer. However, they decided to continue. You know, they decided, okay, we're going to reverse that. We'll be keeping the stores operational. Again, but who knows how long they did consider closing them down. So who knows if they're going to reconsider it at some point. Oh no, the PSP commerce functionality will retire in July 2nd, 2021, though. That's a shame. That's a shame for us PSP owners. But any thoughts on this spoon? That was pretty much it. I don't know anything else.
Yeah, no, that's it. This isn't a big thing, but this was a win for the gaming community, I would say, against the I guess the corporate gaming companies, where they made a decision, they announced it, the gaming community was angry, and so they backtracked. They backtracked on that one. So I'm really surprised, to be honest. Sony's been pretty I don't know, with the exception of their good exclusives, they've been making the negative headlines lately, not liking the direction they were going. So this was at least a coin back in their bucket, so to speak, of like, okay, they actually cared what we had to say on this one, and we're like, all right, we get it. You don't like that? We'll stop. We'll go back. Nope, go back. So yeah, I mean, I guess this was good to see them go back on this when they got such heated backlash from the gaming community. So someone at Sony at least is listening and cares at least a little bit about what we.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I'm sure not just someone. I'm sure a few folks there were like, okay, guys, look, like I understand that keeping these stores up is a cost to us, but at the same time, which is going to be more costly? Keeping them open or getting a bunch of PR backlash that might throw a few people off of PlayStation in the future. And somebody with a chart, they went up to the board, made a chart. They're like, okay, if we look at this axis and this axis together and we put some points here, the negative outweighs the positive. We should go with this trend upward. We should fix this so that we don't lose PlayStation fans to heaven forbid Xbox. Heaven forbid they should move to Xbox. That would be the death of PlayStation as we know it, is if a few folks jump ship. So the again, person who made that chart and shared it with the executives at PlayStation, great work. Your chart was probably amazing and really displayed all the negatives that could occur from closing these stores. So good job, chart maker. Great job.
Yep.
Okay. The next item on the list here is Papa Jeff is leaving. This is devastating news. I have to say, Jeff Kaplan was one of the best things about Overwatch. Seeing the Jeff Kaplan related meme videos were great.
Memes are so good.
His Christmas special where he had like this looping thing in front of a stream in front of a fireplace was amazing. the Overwatch had a time where it had some great content just popping off early on, and Jeff was great. His little developer updates were fan freaking tastic. This, I don't know. Again, I don't know what Jeff did before Overwatch. I would love for someone in the chat to do some helpful.
He worked on World of
Warcraft. He worked on World of Warcraft. Thank you.
He was. I don't know if he's like. He was pretty high up in World of Warcraft, at least like.
I would imagine.
From what I know, at least, or like around this time of the first expansion, Burning Crusade.
Yeah.
And then he worked on that canceled FPS project Titan or whatever.
Which then he obviously
that basically became, or at least parts of it became, Overwatch.
Yep.
So that's it. It was WoW, Titan, and Overwatch. That's it.
He was a as a designer on World of Warcraft, and then he obviously moved up the ladder. But I mean, he was the lead director of Burning Crusade. Okay,
that's the first expansion.
Yeah, that'd be
World of Warcraft. He
spearheaded Titan. Oh man, this is a great little video here. It's doing the work that I was supposed to do, and it's just like Jeff was great. I mean, for all the crap that I give Overwatch, the first couple years of Overwatch were really fun when I was actually somewhat active in it. And Overwatch is a fun, casual game. I casually speaking, whenever I've played it, which wasn't super often, but casually, Overwatch is a fun game. Like it's really enjoyable to just like have a blast with some friends. Now, competitively is a different thing. And spawned the thanks IGN, thanks man. IGN the guy he did a great job up until the grammatical error there. But again, I Overwatch, I really do think I think Overwatch like is a fun game. It's really amazing, especially in its first couple years when I was particularly active in it. Obviously now I crap on it, but he's a big name in Blizzard, and he's obviously like the one that spearheaded this particular title, and I think it's really big that he's gone. I don't think it's the death of the game, but obviously, but like that's huge. Like he's the big face of Overwatch.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. This feels like there's probably still others, but this feels like the last of the big names of Blizzard from before the Activision merger, and that like the old guard is dead. They're gone. All the rest of them have moved on. With the exception of like the current president, what's his name?
Alan Brack? No.
J. Allen Brack.
J. Allen Brack, yeah.
J. Allen Brack. He's been there forever.
But I mean, yeah. A lot of the folks that have been there for like we'll say the 10+ years at the time when Blizzard was really pushing the envelope of, I want to say, gaming innovation. I'm going to say that.
Oh yeah.
So
I agree.
they really were pushing the envelope, 10+ years ago. Even StarCraft 2 was really pushing, and Overwatch obviously did do amazing things in that genre. So it's just the last couple years, it's been different. But yeah, Jeff leaving, I'm sad. I'm gonna miss all those meme Jeff videos that have spawned. And again, say what you want about Overwatch now, but it is a good game. It is a well-made game. That is a well-made game.
It is a good game. It's just the community is toxic, and Overwatch League is kind of...
Yeah, Overwatch League's kind of a lull. But yeah, I guess.
But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I played it when it came out a little bit, not that much, because I'm not like big into competitive shooters. But like, it's a fun game. It's a well-made game. It's very, it's a very good competitive hero shooter. No one will dispute that. It won Game of the Year in a lot of like sites and stuff in the year it came out.
15, I want to say 15. I want to say 15.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, I mean, no, it was a really good game. I don't think many people would dispute that. And yeah, Jeff was the lead designer. I mean, it's not like the whole team's gonna fall apart. They're having someone else take his place, but yeah, I feel like Jeff was a great face, name, and personality around Blizzard. It seems like he he enjoyed doing those, developer not interviews, but presentations, state of the game type thing, and I don't know, he just seemed like a cool, nice guy. It seemed like he probably embraced the memes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. Like I said, he was great. I have nothing bad to say about Jeff if we're being honest. I mean, I'm sure I've said some meaty things about him in the game, but he's been great. He's embraced everything regarding Overwatch. He's been amazing. So it is very sad. They were saying in the article the assistant director will be taking over and will be spearheading Overwatch 2, which still doesn't have an official release date. So we're sort of like, okay. But anyway, any other thoughts on this in particular, Spoon?
No, yeah, I mean, as I said, this feels like, as I said, the last of the super old guard from Blizzard from back, 15, 20 years ago before the Activision merger.
Yeah.
To go, at least of the really big names.
Yeah. And this is a really big one. So, like I said, I feel sad. The Overwatch community, I'm sure, is sad too, because he's a great, not only being the director, but he's just like a great personality. So, okay. Next in the doc, as you may recall, several episodes ago, we talked about Discord potentially in talks with Microsoft, which I guess there were talks now that this has come out. So the Discord will not be acquired by Microsoft, who reportedly prepared an offer of at least $10 billion. So Discord will continue to stay independent. I have no idea what kind of deal Discord, I don't know how much money it will take to buy Discord if $10 billion is not enough. On a potential and public offering. Oh, okay, they're going to go public. Interesting. So the I was surprised because that's a lot of money, and I mean, I talked about before how I think Discord has some monetization issues that somebody like Microsoft could probably figure out in a good or bad way. But Spoon, any thoughts on this?
It's not surprising. It didn't seem like, when we talked about it a couple weeks ago, it was very preliminary, so I guess we didn't really know, but I don't know, I didn't get the feeling that it was really going anywhere. Discord seemed like they were just entertaining the idea, but weren't really committed to anything. They're just trying to test the waters a little bit.
Right. Again, yeah, $10 billion is a lot. I suppose if they're trying to go public, that's nice. It is worth noting that there was a little comment somewhere here. It said 2020 Discord raked in $130 million of revenue, which it's something. I personally don't think that's actually a lot for someone the size of Discord. I don't know how many users they have at this point, but it's just seems like, I would imagine, just an insanely massive number. So I don't even think 130 million is that much, considering. I would be interested to see if they did go public, how things go. But I don't know. I figured $10 billion would be enough to actually buy someone like a company like Discord, but it's not. So it's interesting. I don't know if you're not a fan of Microsoft purchasing companies, which they've purchased plenty of, then I suppose hurrah. But in this case, it's for me at least, I'm a little bit surprised that Discord didn't take the bait on that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, had this purchase happened, we talked about it. As long as Microsoft didn't try to change Discord too drastically and turn it into Skype or something like that, which we know how that went. Then I don't think it would have been a problem, to be honest. But you just don't exactly know what
you don't know at all. Really, you don't
what they would have done with it. But
it's so hard to say. It really is. Discord bought Beam, which became Mixer, or not? Sorry, Microsoft bought Beam, which became Mixer, and Microsoft did do a little bit of meddling in the in the process. Obviously, like they rebranded it to something specific to Microsoft, and then they obviously like threw it into Xbox and all that. And they did like you had to make a Microsoft account to use Mixer at a certain point. I think that wasn't necessarily the exact case, but they did have some of that Microsoft login integration, which Google is notorious for doing. God, if Google like buys something, they'll like, oh, but we got to use our Google logins and stuff. It's like, oh God, Google, you have enough of my data as it is. Leave us alone. But with GitHub, Microsoft hasn't really done much at all. They just sort of said, okay, we bought GitHub, and then just kind of walked away. It's okay, you're ours now. Yeah. And then just sort of sat there and just like, oh, we're not going to do anything, but I'm sure they are doing something in the back end, behind the curtain, but they haven't really done much with GitHub, and GitHub is a great resource for developers, so that's a good thing, obviously.
As you said, it just kind of really depends. And like with the Xbox division, with them purchasing game studios, again, it doesn't seem like they're really doing much meddling with those either, other than like the games go on they're like exclusive, or they at least go on Game Pass. But other than that, it seems like they're letting the developers do their own thing. I guess we don't really know what's happening behind the scenes, but it doesn't seem like they're meddling too much, at least with in the Xbox division and the game studios that they've purchased. So yeah, again, I wouldn't have minded it much had they, assuming they didn't meddle with the actual functionality of Discord that we all know and love at this point. I'm sure they would add some bells and whistles to make it more profitable. But
of course they would have. They would have threw something in there that would have actually been a real monetizable thing that could have been like insanely monetizable as opposed to what's currently there. Or like built on what was currently there and like did something with it that made more money making sense. I don't know. But in any case, I mean, again, if you're not a fan of like Microsoft buying companies, again, hurrah for you. But I don't know. Some purchases from companies end up being like, okay, we acquired you, but we're not really doing much. So okay. I'm gonna again. We'll talk about Tales. We're gonna cycle it in a bit with game predictions here. I'll intro the game prediction side of it that we're gonna do, and then we'll basically start with Tales is what we'll do. So there's obviously there's still a large chunk of the year left, and Game Informer here has a nice list of upcoming titles by month. They also have a to be announced, or there is no release date currently, but anticipated potentially for this year. This by the way, only goes up to October, so no November, no December. But typically, games don't release that much into December.
I will mention real quick, when I looked at this list, maybe I missed it, but when I went down this list the other day and looked at it, Tales of Arise was actually not on this list.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I was like,
really? To be announced. Let me check the to be announced section. Oh God, it's not. Yeah. Okay, let's start with Tales then, because it's obviously not on this list, or they just didn't throw it on this list. Wow. The thing is, I thought there were JRPGs on this list. Oh yeah, there are.
There's other JRPGs. I was just surprised. I was like, wait, really?
That is surprising.
Like they've got every game under the sun releasing this year, and they missed Tales of Arise. Are you kidding me?
Dude, they have no Tales love. Okay, well, basically the idea is we're gonna sort of pick out certain games. Obviously, we're not going to talk about all of them. I'll look through this list. Spoon, obviously, you've looked through this list because you mentioned there was no Tales. We'll pick and choose certain games that we'll talk about. And I'm going to say for what I'm going to pick out, I'm not picking out like DLC packages and things like that. So for example, we see this like Immortals Phoenix Rising DLC. Yeah, I'm just going to ignore that. I'm just ignoring that. But something like, for example, new Pokemon Snap, 100% we'll be focusing on those types of like full game releases. So let's start with Tales. We know Tales is coming out September 9/10, 10th for Xbox One, Xbox Series X, PS5, PS4, and PC. It's worth noting that it's also coming out on Game Pass, And this is for US. September 10th is the US release.
Wait, did I miss that? Did it say in the article it's coming out on Game Pass?
I thought they said it was coming out on Game Pass. I thought we talked about this before.
That was a rumor we discussed last
That was a
week.
rumor. Okay, that was a rumor. My apologies. Rumor then is that it's coming out on Game Pass. Hopefully that rumor's true, actually. But so the information came out today that September 10th is the release date for the US, and then September 9th is Japan.
Yeah.
Okay,
West.
perfect.
US, Europe, yeah. West it's September 10th, Japan it's September 9th.
Perfect. So there was also this gameplay trailer that came with it. There will be no audio for it because copyright exists. But we got some actual gameplay combat visuals, and while letting this play, I have thoughts, just like initially have thoughts. The graphics, they look good. It's interesting how Tales has transitioned away from this like more anime style.
Yeah, they went away from like the cel-shaded anime
style. Cel-shaded anime style, and into a more realistic, we'll say, artistic approach.
It still has the anime flair and like the colors, and especially in the character models, you can see it. But it looks much more like Final Fantasy now than Tales did in the past.
Correct. That's the first thing I noticed is like, am I looking at a Final Fantasy graphics? Like, it's not a bad thing. It's just it's interesting how things have developed over time.
So yeah, we have our two main characters there, Alphen and Shion.
Calaglia?
Calaglia.
So, again, visually, the game, just for my opinion, it looks good. I have nothing bad to say. I think the textures actually look pretty solid.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not perfect, but... Oh yeah, this okay. This is looking a lot like a Final Fantasy game now. Yeah. with I'm not sure how I feel about that, but okay. So here's they're still doing the combat. So okay.
Yeah, we're gonna get into combat here. Yeah, they're still doing a battle like arena or battle setting.
Okay.
And we have our, pretty typical fast-paced. Action-based Tales combat. And it looks like you could switch between your party members on the fly using the D-pad.
Oh, that's interesting. I just want to comment. There was no, like, end screen. You know how sometimes they do, like, the end... There's no victory screen.
Yeah, the results, they just put it on the left there.
Oh!
And, yeah, okay. Which is... It's different, and I did see a comment about this. Someone was sad that, that means no more victory quotes. We're not getting victory quotes.
Yeah, I always skipped them, but I'm disappointed they're gone.
Yeah, there's some funny ones, actually.
There are.
And we saw a brief look at what looks to be some sort of skill tree or skill system there.
Right. The enemy... More combat, yeah.
Looks like there's some sort of dodge button or...
Yes.
There was some slowdown there with a, I assume, like, sort of perfect dodge mechanic. And right here he activates sort of like it's a like boost break or something like that. And I've watched through this a couple of times actually. I think it costs health to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And for Mason in chat, there's a thing that says score on the side, like plus 2.7. That's to me that's grade. That's what grade is usually.
We're probably missing a bunch of like dialogue here again. Sorry, it's because we're having to mute for copyright reasons. This could get bopped if we allow this. Spoon was mentioning it before.
Could get bopped.
The podcast could get bopped. I mean, I doubt it. I feel like they wouldn't. Would they really go this far and bop it like this?
I've heard Bandai Namco was bad. I don't know.
Oh God, that'd be tragic. More what? What was that? Zeuglas? Oh.
That sounds like what they're calling. My guess is that's what they call the monsters in this world. But
I like the character mod. I like the character models. I like the character models. I really like these character models. I just want to comment that.
They look really good. I mean, this game looks so much better than any previous Tales game. Before this one, they were working on a like close to 10-year-old engine. Like the two Exilia games, Zestiria and Berseria, were all made in the same engine.
Oh my!
So, which is why like Zestiria and Berseria looked pretty outdated.
Examine. Okay, just sort of running around.
Yeah, just picking stuff up.
Okay, I'm skipping forward a little bit because there's swimming.
Yeah,
Pog.
There's some climbing and some swimming, and we're gonna hit another fight
against some jellyfish things.
Over here. So yeah, he does that boost break thing again, and he's got like some fire going out, and it looks to cost him a bit of health to do that. So that to me, I mean, that looks a little bit similar to like what Break Soul was in Berseria, except it seems to cost health instead of soul. You have what looks similar to the soul system from Berseria, those like 4 diamonds that are above the health bar on the main character, which was it was basically a resource of just how long you could combo. In this, we seem to have some sort of like combo attacks, or it looks similar to Link Arts from like the Exilia games, where you build up some sort of meter or something like that, and then you can call in one of your teammates to do this like combo attack, and that does a bunch of damage. Quick look at the inventory system, pretty standard. Weapon, armor, and accessory, which is standard for Tales. Yeah, and the third character looks to be your mage.
Yep.
Your mage character. I think we have one more fight here, and then it's pretty much the end. Yeah, again, we just don't have a lot of context on like how some of these mechanics works. Like, it looks cool and it looks fast and fluid. It looks like what you'd expect out of a Tales game, but we just don't exactly understand the mechanics of the combat, other than there seems to be some sort of combo attacks going on. It looks like you can swap between your party members on the fly. Seems to be a dodge mechanic, as I mentioned.
I'll move forward a little bit because I saw something else I wanted to see. Here we go. This is the shop. Okay.
Yeah, we got a shop real quick. We got our gold, which is always the currency. Buy some items.
And then that's save point or healing? Healing. Okay.
Yeah, this is like a heal point. And then we get a quick cutscene here that looks like it's leading into some sort of mini boss or boss fight. And we're not playing the music, but if you watch the trailer, they have a remix here, right here, of a classic Tales track called "A Formidable Foe Stands in the Way." So they're remixing some older tracks. It seems.
Okay, that was it. I'm stopping it there because that was
yeah,
that's it. Yeah. And then they did. I'll just see they put like a pre-order now, September 2021, with the official date there. I see Steam there. Again, using Unreal Engine. I think we mentioned that some time ago when we were talking about Tales. I'd be curious if this, goes on the like Epic Game Store ever. But PS4, PS5, Series X, and Xbox One, along with PC release. So, Spoon, why don't you've got a release date. You've seen the graphics. We didn't have audio, but you've probably heard some of the dialogue, and you've heard some of the music. I imagine the overworld music. I'm sure there was a little bit of that. You saw combat. Obviously, you don't know the full suite of attacks and combos.
We don't know how it works exactly.
But
a little bit.
This is like a predictions thing. I just noticed, like, my screen, by the way, looks really weird by comparison to what you guys are seeing. It looks weird. You guys are seeing like this screen tearing. I don't know. I'm not seeing that for some reason. But this is your opportunity to share your prediction of this game. given what you know and what you anticipate. That is the name of our little game today. So I want you to start with this because you're more familiar with this series than I am.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really good and really promising from everything I've seen so far from the earlier trailers where we just sort of saw the graphics and a little bit of the voice acting. And I mean, the game has looked gorgeous in all of the pre-release material we've seen so far, and that didn't really change with this new gameplay trailer. Um, Even with so we know at that point it's in engine. We're seeing the game being played.
Yep.
The game still looks really good. The character models look really good. The animations in combat look really nice. The environments look
Look pretty
so
good.
yeah, they look good. I mean, I'm sure they don't have the budget as much as Final Fantasy because it's just not as big a series as Final Fantasy is.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the game looks quite as good as Final Fantasy, but as I said, it is a massive step up for this series. Like, go look at screenshots of Berseria, which was the last release. And it's night and day. Like that game, as I said, they use the same engine for like 4 games in a row, which were the 2 Exilia games and then Zestiria and Berseria. So
Right.
though Berseria was on PS4, it was designed in a PS3 engine, basically, so it looks more like a PS3 game.
Yeah.
Um, and they use a very heavy cell-shaded anime art style, as every game in the series up till that one did.
Mm.
And this one, as you said, is going for a slightly more realistic looking style. It's not cell shaded anymore. The environments look much more realistic. But it still has the color, and the character models have the anime flair. Again, it looks much more like a Final Fantasy game now than a Tales game did in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mason saying in chat he's going to take a shot in the dark, say the MC is going to be a lot like Velvet in terms of combat. Yeah, I'm actually guessing that as well. He looks similar to Velvet. To where like you've got your combos, he's kind of fast and fluid, and then he has that. It said like boost break, but he had that like fire sword thing where he like charged up his sword, and it cost a little bit of health for him to do it, which is similar to Velvet's break soul, where she activates her claw and she gets this like big power up for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I mean yeah, combat wise, it looks kind of similar to Berseria. To be honest, there were arts on 3 of the 4 buttons, but not everything was an art, so maybe the 4th button is just like a basic attack string combo. So unlike Berseria, where everything was an art, there's an actually just like a basic attack or basic combo type thing going on. Um, and then we could switch party members on the fly, which is, I guess you could do it in Berseria, but you just didn't do it very much. Um, and then we had those combo attacks going on that, again, we don't exactly know how you generate those, if it's through like combos or hitting a certain enemy enough, or if there's like a weakness system like in Berseria that you have to hit enough. So we don't exactly know how that works, but those looked cool and flashy. Um, and yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for this game. September 10th is,
Mm-hmm.
my prediction is that it would come out in the fall. So technically September 10th is not the fall, that is like the very end of summer, but um, most people consider September a fall month. So,
Yeah.
and
No, I mean, like it's
that
yeah.
usually starts the fall releases for games usually begin in
Yeah.
September. Or, yeah, October and November there's more usually, but
Right.
there's usually a couple in September. Um, so yeah, this one will start out our fall slate, and I mean, in terms of predictions, I mean, I've really never had a Tales game let me down. Even the ones I don't like that much, like Graces and Zestiria, I think are fine. Like they're they're not bad. They're never bad. Um, in terms of what I would guess it might get as far as a review score would go, probably an 8 or an 8.5. I mean,
Okay.
that's like a pretty standard. I mean, usually these games don't have the like blow you away type content, story, and gameplay to get a 9 from
Mm-hmm.
at least from the major publications. So yeah, I think an 8 or an 8.5 is probably what it will get from the major publications. But I would be love to be to be proven wrong. I would love for this to be the best Tales game by far. In terms of, I don't know, in terms of sales, we'll see. I mean, they seem to be going in. They seem to be trying. We talked about this last week a little bit with the rumor, but they seem to be trying to make this series more mass marketable by moving away from the full-on cel-shaded anime art style, using UE4.
Which is a big. I just want to say that's a big deal that they're moving away from that, because that's like.
Yeah. No, there are some people who are straight up like, oh, this is an anime game, or this game has an anime art style. Yeah, I'll never play this. It's just like, nope, I see cartoon anime art style, and I'm never gonna play this.
It's a thing. It's true. It's a thing.
So yeah, I mean, they're diversifying the consoles, so it's no longer an exclusive. It's going to come out on Steam. It's a simultaneous worldwide release, which they have never done with this series. These games have always come out in Japan like at least 6 months before they come out in the rest of the world.
Which is a big deal as well. Big deal.
Which is big. Again, we have a 1 day difference between Japan and worldwide, so it's a worldwide release. The combat looks pretty similar to Berseria's combat, so I think it'll still have that Tales feel to the combat, with probably, they always change it a little bit, add a few new bells and whistles, and modify the system a little bit. Yeah, so it's hard to predict the sales. I think like the highest selling Tales game of all time for worldwide, I want to say, is Symphonia, and I think it's around 1.5 million, and that game's been out for like not 20 years, but almost 20 years.
1.5 million, okay.
Yeah, which is not very good.
No, it's not.
When you compare, like, if you look at like Xenoblade 2, that game's a Switch exclusive, and that game did 2 million. So, I think they would be thrilled if they got 2 to 3 million. I think that would be exceptional. And I'm just really hoping that through their marketing and, as I said, from what they're doing with moving a little bit away from the anime art style and trying to make it more mass marketable, putting it on all the platforms, that they see success. It seems like they're putting in a lot more time and effort into this one, and they really want this series to become, they know it's not going to be as popular as Final Fantasy, but they want it to be another popular JRPG series worldwide.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping they see success with that, and that we continue to get more Tales games like this. So
it's worth noting this is coming out on next gen console. That's worth noting.
Yep.
It's current, we'll say previous gen, and current. I'm going to say current gen from now on, because it's at this point we have PS5 and Xbox Series X. So this is the current gen, and Xbox One and PS4 feels like previous gen at this point for me, because it's been out long enough. It's been like 6 months. So
yeah,
I'm gonna say that.
Yeah, I'm on the other side. I'm still considering PS5 and Xbox Series X next gen, just because I don't own them yet.
Yeah, sure.
Don't really plan to
totally get it
anytime soon, to be honest.
Totally get it. That's just difference of how we want to do it, but still, that's important. That's an important factor coming out for PS5 and Series X. If the rumor, yeah, of course, and if the rumor is true that it comes out on Game Pass, I don't know if that will benefit it that much, but it'll be a nice little boost. I think it'll be a nice little boost, because Xbox, generally speaking, they'll advertise, okay, this game is coming to Game Pass soon. They typically do a little bit of advertising on that, so that's some extra boost to marketing. Is Microsoft boosts you a little bit there. We don't know how much marketing they're going to put into the game before the release. We've gotten, frankly speaking, very little. I mean, besides that one trailer, which was a nothing burger, and then this one, we really haven't gotten much more than that, obviously. So let's assume that I don't know how much marketing Berseria got, but not that much. So let's assume they do a little bit more, because it's a global release. So let's assume they do a little bit more, because they're doing like this global release with almost same day release. You said the highest selling was, what did Berseria sell for? Do you know off the top of your head, or did you? Have you looked at it? Was it
I want it in the hundreds of thousands, I will say.
hundreds of thousands? Okay.
Like maybe 800,000.
Okay. So given the graphics, the graphics look very Final Fantasy-ish. I'm saying that in a good way. I just want to say that once. I'm saying that in a good way, which means potentially, if there weren't Final Fantasy players interested in Tales, they might be a little bit more interested in Tales now, because it's looking very similar. I want that to be a good thing, so I'm saying it looks a bit more like Final Fantasy as a good thing. That might work in its favor, as long as they kind of keep some of that Tales charm. Tales has a certain charm to it that I personally really think is good.
Yeah.
It has a charm.
I agree. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, with skits, I wonder how they'll do those.
Yeah, this is...
If they don't have the anime art style, I hope they retain the anime art style and have like the hand-drawn characters for the skits still. I would really like to see that, though they probably won't. It'll probably like the in-game character models, to be honest.
Could be. It's curious, because like if they remove those... If they remove the skits, they might make the normal Tales audience, the actual fans, upset.
There is no way they will remove skits entirely, but they may act a little different than, like, if they remove skits, that would be a death sentence for like Tales fans. The Tales fans would be
really mad.
So pissed. They would jump. They would really probably jump ship, to be honest. Like,
well, they just say this is a Final Fantasy game now. You're just making a Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this isn't Tales anymore.
So keep the skits for sure. They don't necessarily have to be the hand-drawn things, but try and keep it close to that, at least. But Tales has a certain charm. So again, you make the graphics look like Final Fantasy. Again, I'm saying it in a good way. If you don't like I'm saying that, I'm sorry. But they're trying to... I think Final Fantasy-style graphics are actually more streamlined. So you streamline it a bit there for your broader audience. You throw it on more systems like Xbox. Again, I don't think Xbox will actually boost the sales that much, but if they put it on Game Pass, it might at least boost the player base a little bit.
Yep.
I think this will get over 1 million sales because they're making it look more like Final Fantasy. I think they'll market it more.
I don't know how accurate these are. I'm looking at the Tales wiki. Berseria,
Sure.
It says 1.5 million.
Okay.
Zestiria was about that as well.
Okay. So then I retract my statement. I don't think it's going to be one. I think they'll break 2 million. I think they'll break 2 million. I think they'll get more because it's a bit more streamlined in a good way. Not in a bad way. Good way. The graphics look better, so people are going to get a good eye on it. It'll hopefully retain its Tales charm, and it's on more systems. So I think that will boost it to 2 million. That's my prediction. And I predict this will be... I predict with the streamlined graphics, the critics are going to see it looks more like Final Fantasy. It's going to work in its favor. And I'm going to say... You say 8.5-ish. I'm going to say with those graphics and everything else kind of... I don't think Western critics probably... I don't know how they feel about like the Tales series as a whole.
I don't think the series has ever broken a 9. I don't think it's ever broken a 9.
I think this one will. This will get 9.
Like Vesperia and Berseria, I think, are both in 8s, like 8.5, but I don't think the series has ever broken 9. Maybe Symphonia did back in the day. Maybe.
This will get a 9. I think this will get a 9. Assuming it keeps the rest of its Tales, like... Again, I'm saying charm, but they keep the rest of the theming, and they just have this like really nice looking graphics, and the combat looks really fun and fluid from what I was looking at. I think this will push a 9. I'm thinking they'll break their sales mark and they'll get a 9 because they're going to market it a bit more, and it's a global release and it's on more systems. I don't think Berseria was actually ever for Xbox, so
no, PS4 and Steam. That's it.
So I think that will get a couple, more sales. I think that a couple more, more sales will pop out from that as well. Not as much, but some more. Because like I do think, again, if they do put this out on Game Pass, I do think that will be beneficial. Who knows if they do that? So that's my prediction for Tales. I feel positive about it based on what I've seen. It looks more like Final Fantasy, and I think in this case it's a good thing. If you're a Tales person and you don't like that, I'm sorry, but Final Fantasy Remake in particular did quite well, and that graphic style works for people. I don't think it's a bad thing that they're trying to do a little bit more streamlining and say, hey, we're also, a JRPG series, and check out our new graphics. We've made a lot of changes and all that, while hopefully keeping the charm to retain their current fan base.
Yeah,
I'm positive.
I agree with what you're saying and what like Ghost and Mason are saying in chat. They need to like it still needs to retain its identity as Tales. Like the combat needs to stay similar. The skits need to stay there. Like the character design and party dynamic that happens in Tales game needs to be there, and the themes that they generally use in their stories
they need to be there.
Be retained. Like don't do the MacGuffin crystal quest that Final Fantasy games do. I don't want that. I mean, okay, there's usually a MacGuffin quest in Tales.
There's like Tales. I mean, come on, it's hard to avoid.
But it's always crystals in Final Fantasy, and it's like, okay,
crystals.
Okay. Yeah, I think I love the graphics. I think it looks super nice. Well, again, it still retains that anime aesthetic while looking more streamlined, quote unquote, and like realistic in some cases. But the character models and like the flashy animations and the colors, it looks like a JRPG.
No, it does.
And yeah, and I agree with Ghost. Like the Final Fantasy series, at least 15, like it like hardly feels like a JR. They just like lean into the open world element, and the combat is just so weird and different. I just don't. They're like trying too many things. Like I don't want them to change their identity because they want to be more mass marketable. It's like stay with Tales, but just make it more mass marketable by again just representing it at these big conferences, and putting advertising money into it, and putting it all on all the consoles, and using UE4 and changing the graphics to make that more marketable.
Right.
But the gameplay, let's keep it as faithful as we can to the Tales series.
Right. Again, my only concern is they got rid of those victories, that victory sequence with the quotes. I'm not saying that's like I'm not saying that's not it, but it's just like that's kind of telling, because that's, at least for all the games that I've seen and played, it's been in all of them that I've experienced.
Yeah, it's been in every single one.
So it is
post battle menu with the results like EXP, time, grade, gold, the spoils, and then there's like some sort of victory quote or party banter that happens. And yeah, that's like one thing that the Tales series, as we talked about with the skits and the victory quotes, that the Tales series does really well. Like party dynamic and party banter is something that this series does exceptionally well compared to like any other RPG or JRPG, JRPG especially. And they need to retain that quality in the characters and the party and the party banter.
Right. I agree. I agree. That's why I'm thinking positively for it, and I do think. I mean, again, the way it looks, I think it deserves some love for that particular update on all of the visuals. It looks really good. It really does. So, okay, let's move from Tales. Move from Tales. I know we love Tales, but
we do.
We have a couple others on here. So I'm not going to pick like tons of different things. I'm just going to pick a couple from every month, starting from April, which is this month. I have new Pokemon Snap, April 30th.
Which is next week.
Yes.
Next Friday.
I'm going to open the official site. Fine, you can use cookies. So, for those that don't know, new Pokemon Snap, if you never played the original Pokemon Snap, it's a game where you take pictures of Pokemon. The original game was really nostalgic, and I know that there are people that don't like it, but I think it was a wonderful little game. I thought it was wonderful. I thought it was a nice, just like, move away from the normal Pokemon series. It was still charming. I enjoyed it for the amount of time I did play it. I thought it was fun playing with some friends, actually. It was very interesting. I think with the technology we have today, I think it's going to be great. So, I don't know why the YouTube audio isn't working for this particular thing. I turned up the audio. There's just no audio. So anyway, this is the game. This was the trailer. This was a trailer for the game. Get the latest from the Lental region. So the graphics I think look fantastic. I'm assuming it's going to retain the theming of the original Pokemon Snap, and I made a comment when we first saw this trailer. The thing that makes me most angry about this is I'm like, why isn't every Pokemon game like this? As in, why don't they look like this?
This game looks way better than Sword.
It looks so good! It's like, wow, this is like, okay, are the textures perfect? No, it's a Switch game. But it looks way better than Sword and Shield. Holy moly! I'm honestly gonna say it just looks way better. That may not be the case, but it just looks way better. This just looks so good. It looks great. It's a Pokemon game, so it's got that work. The IP has it working in its favor. I'm gonna say that this game will be not amazing, but I think it's gonna be like an 8 to an 8.5 range, and I think it's gonna sell like really dang well.
Yeah.
I can't give an exact amount for sales. It's not gonna sell the exact same as the mainline Pokemon series, but Pokemon Sword and Shield sales, I'm just going to let's check those sales. So, Sword and Shield, as of Q3 2020, sold 20 million units. I'm going to say that Pokemon Snap sells 5 to 10 million. I'm going to say 5 to 10 million units. It's a Pokemon game. It's got the IP working in its favor. I think there's going to be a lot of new fans of Pokemon Snap. I'm sure there are plenty of people that were not even born at the time of Pokemon Snap who are Pokemon fans right now. There's I'd imagine plenty. We're going to get some new fans for that. I would say 5 to 10 million. And I think that's fairly conservative. There's going to be a lot.
I'm going to be honest, I did not know Pokemon was that much of a killer. I didn't know it was a 20 million.
Yes.
Like insanity.
Those figures put it as the first Pokemon game to achieve more than 20 million copies since Gold and Silver, which sold 23 million copies following its launch in 1999. Holy crap.
That's surprising that Gold and Silver sold that many, because video games were just not as popular back then. But
it's worth noting that the original Pokemon Snap sold, by the end of 1999, 1.5 million copies, which is unbelievable at that time in particular, because it's new IP for the Pokemon series. Excuse me, not a new IP, but new title. This is I think this one's going to sell 5 to 10 million. I would say 5 million is really safe. 10 million is wow, this game just completely is an amazing game. It's definitely better than 8.5 out of 10. But this game will sell well just because it's Pokemon Snap. So that's my prediction for Pokemon Snap. You can also sort of add into that, obviously. I'm skipping Nier Replicant and some of these other games, by the way. I don't really care for the Nier series, so I'm skipping that, and it comes out in 2 days, so I'm not really going to say anything on it.
I mean, Square Enix is Square Enix's Twitter this week has just been nothing but.
Yeah, I mean, again, I know it is a popular series, so Nier Replicant has a nice following. So, or Nier, not just the Nier series, not Nier series. So I'm sure it's going to do well, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on Pokemon Snap. I think I can't really see it getting lower than an 8. Though it may not deserve that. I mean, it's a very simple game. I mean, I think a 7.5 would probably be a reasonable score for a game like this. Maybe it'll be better than that, but it'll be nice with the online features they showed in that trailer. If you watch the whole thing, they have all these filters and things.
Yeah.
You can do so much more with this one than you could with the original Pokemon Snap.
Oh yeah, no, it's again. I really like what I saw.
Yeah, and they had different routes for the levels.
Mm-hmm. You can do.
Yeah, I mean, this game will just be a fun, relaxing time. Again, I talked about it before. I doubt I will buy this at least right off the bat. But yeah, I have no doubt it'll be a fun game, and yeah, I'm with you on the sales. 5 to 10 million sounds completely reasonable for this. If Sword Shield did 20, yeah, it's not a mainline Pokemon game. It's a spin-off, so it won't do that well. But I think 5 to 10 million sounds pretty reasonable. Though.
Yeah, if it doesn't hit 5 million, that will be really, it'll be indicative of the game is not good, or I don't know, it'll just be surprising, I think. I know you have this like Game Informer list as well, but any other titles in April that have catch your eye here? Again, I know Nier Replicant comes out in like 2 days, so
Nier was there. The Switch and PC version of Cold Steel 4 came out a couple of weeks ago. Again, I'm just mentioning. I don't want to talk about it. And MLB The Show came out yesterday. So, just a couple quick mentions.
Sure.
Yeah, I've played some of Nier Automata, but I didn't finish it. I do like it. It's a cool game. It's interesting. I've heard the story gets really good later in the game. It's a bit of a slow burn, though. There's definitely interesting stuff going on early on in the story, from what I remember. But it's a lot of just like what exactly happened here, like what's going on. So yeah, I mean, I think from what I've heard, again, the story. This is a remake of the original Nier. And I've again heard the story is really good, but the gameplay of the original was kind of rough. People didn't really like it, so they've kind of changed it to just be Nier Automata gameplay, which people liked, and retaining the story of the first game.
I have one comment. About this game, and it really bothers me. I know there's a purpose for it. Version 1.224744874139. What is the meaning behind that?
I don't think there's any. It's just like a meme. Yoko Taro, the lead director, designer of these games, he's a weird dude, man. He's just a weird dude. So I feel like it's just exactly. Like I think it's just a troll.
Oh,
by Yoko Taro.
Okay, I was about to say, I was like, what the frick is this?
I honestly think it's a troll. It's a troll.
Oh, okay.
Because Yoko Taro is a weird guy.
All right, I was like, what the frick is this thing? I don't even know. It's just like weird. Okay. I'm gonna move to May if that's okay. So I feel like the big one in May is Resident Evil Village. Oh god, I have things to say about this. So yeah, vampire mom, right? Yep. The lady that everyone is now like, please step on me. So I don't know how Resident Evil 7 sold. The Biohazard game. I'm just gonna focus on those sales. So wow, Resident Evil 7 is now the highest selling game in the franchise. According to August 16th, 2020, an article from Eurogamer, sold 7.9 million units since its release. That's really good. Wow.
I just hear these numbers. I'm like, man, that's insane. Again, I come from, I'm a JRPG fan, and when I see a JRPG sold like 2 or 3 million units, I'm like, yeah, that's a win. That's great, dude. And I'm like, oh, Resident Evil 8 million, like Pokemon 20 million. Like, what the heck, dude?
That's crazy.
What is this?
That's crazy. So Resident Evil Village, or 7, sold almost 8 million copies here. I think Village will sell a little bit more than that. I think Vampire Lady will cause the game to be even more popular. I'm deeply concerned about all the different things that are going to come out of this game, like the weird. I'm sure it's definitely already happening, but like the weird Rule 34 stuff that I'm sure is already happening.
Yep.
But this game will sell well. Resident Evil 7, I haven't played it. I own it, but I do want to play it. I've heard good things about it, and this game, assuming they're going in that same direction, which I think when the demo came out, it seemed like it was very like the similar theming. Like the game looked very much like Resident Evil 7 gameplay. That's going to work in its favor because people like that one. So I think this game is going to sell. We'll see. Now that was over 3 years, by the way, the 7.9 million copies. So I'm still going to go with that kind of idea. I'm going to say the game will sell 8.5 million copies. They'll sell a little bit more than that 7.9. And I think the game... I don't know what Resident Evil 7's review was. I'm not going to look right now. I'm gonna say this game will get like an 8.5. I imagine, if it's anything that's gonna like try and be around the themes of Resident Evil 7, how the game plays, because Resident Evil 7 looked like a pretty good game. It looked enjoyable, so that's what I'm going for there. I have one or two other games in here that I'm looking at that I would comment on, but I'll let you. Do you have any additional things for Resident Evil Village? I know you probably didn't play Resident Evil 7. I'm just guessing. I don't think you played Resident Evil 7.
No, I
yeah.
didn't play
So
it.
that's
I'm not really a big
yeah,
I'm not really a big horror guy.
but this is a very
it's a
popular horror series.
It's the most popular horror series out there. RE7 was a huge injection for the series. It was kind of going downhill. People didn't like 6 especially.
Oh yeah, 6 was not received well at all.
Like 6. But 7 they brought it back, and yeah, I agree. It'll probably continue the upward trend. So it'll probably sell better than 7 did.
I'm trying to find another one here. Oh, okay. I'm gonna skip Mass Effect Legendary Edition because it's technically just like
it'll sell very.
It'll sell well. That's it. It's gonna sell well, and it's gonna be good.
They're good games, assuming they don't botch the port.
Yeah,
they'll be good.
Let's see here. Yeah, that was one of the only other ones. Again, I mentioned I'm sort of like ignoring like DLCs, and like I'm gonna ignore some of these other ones. I'm only picking up ones that I've noticed. I'm just gonna skip the Shin Megami Tensei one because that's a remaster. If you I don't know anything about that series, so I'm skipping that. Any others in May that caught your eye though that I'm not seeing?
Oh, World's End Club.
World's End Club, where?
The last one.
World's End Club, May 28th. World's End Club. Oh, I recall this. Skipping good stuff. Hey! World's End Club.
World's End Club is the
Okay.
We've talked about it. It's the game made by the Danganronpa and
I know we watched the trailer for this one. Where is it?
Danganronpa and what's the other thing? Virtue's Last Reward. 999 creators. Zero Escape. That's the one.
Okay, I found the direct trailer. Go ahead.
We've talked about it. I mean, this game, it looks like a pretty big departure from things they've done in the past. I'm not sure I'm feeling like the very young looking children. Again, the protagonists of Danganronpa, they're teenagers, they're high schoolers, but these look like actual children.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a Switch game. But at the same time, Danganronpa and Zero Escape are both like wild in terms of like their story. I'm sure there'll be nice twists and turns, and I'll probably play this.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea how well it'll sell. I'll just say like 1 million just for like a safety thing, and maybe Danganronpa's more popular than that, but it's also a Switch exclusive, which is just like weird to me. Like, I don't know.
By the way, I figured out I just realized my like the audio that was supposed to come into my headset. For some reason, Discord fixed it, but my sound settings were all messed up. My microphone was set to be the output, meaning that this was my headset right here, according to my computer. Isn't that great? Good. So your prediction for this particular game coming out May 28th is what? What's the rating you'd guess for this?
Like, I feel like I'm just gonna say everything's an 8 because it's the safest.
It's so safe.
Rating to say. I have no. I just have. Honestly, this game, I really have no idea. I don't really know what the gameplay is. I don't really know what the story is about. Like, the creators have crazy, weird ideas.
I mean, do you the previous games in the series, assuming that is a positive trend, do you think it's going to be,
I mean,
based on...
It's a departure. It's very different. It's not Danganronpa and it's not Zero Escape. It's neither. It's something entirely different that looks like weird. I'm again with the art style to me it's a little bit off-putting. I'm not sure it'll retain all the fan base that they want it to.
Mm.
And it's also a Switch exclusive, which again to me is just weird. I'll go on the review. I'll just say 9 for fun. I doubt it, but again, everything I just want to say like 8 or 8.5. It's like the safest.
It's very safe.
So many games get that. And sales, yeah, I don't really know.
You don't know how the Danganronpa or Zero Escape. You don't know how they sold it all. Look it up. Look it up while I'm moving to June. Look it up.
Danganronpa series as a whole, and there's 3 games, has some 3.5 million copies worldwide.
Okay,
that's 3 games.
Right. So let's assume like roughly, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll go around there. I'll say like a million or so seems reasonable.
Okay. Okay, I think that's fair. Let's look at June. I see Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, June 11th.
Yep.
I see... Why do I know this Dark Alliance? I feel like I've seen this somewhere. Wizards of the Coast. Oh, it's a Dungeons and Dragons thing. I don't know. I gotta look into that a bit more.
Mario Golf
Super Rush.
And Scarlet
Nexus. We've heard of this Disgaea game in one of a Direct. A Nintendo Direct talked about this.
Disgaea 6.
Yep. Why do I know Legend of Mana? We've probably seen it. We saw it. Square Enix role-playing game, Legend of Mana. Yep. Okay. So there's a
remake. It's a remake, I think.
Okay. Got it. Ninja Gaiden Master Collection. FF7 Remake Intergrade. We can talk about all these. Even it's a DLC, I know. It's a DLC that only is for PlayStation 5, which is an interesting choice. Okay, let's focus on a couple. I want to focus on Mario Golf Super Rush. I don't know how the Mario Golf games sell typically. I don't remember the last one. What about Tour de France 2021? My fault. Tour de France 2021. If we look at Tour de France 2020 game, PS4 sales. What was the sales on Steam of Tour de France 2020? Who knows? What did it get on Steam? This is on Steam. It has very positive reviews on Steam. Okay. Wow. No, Elder Scrolls Online. I don't want to talk about Elder Scrolls Online. It's an MMO. It's an MMO expansion. It'll probably do fine. I'm sure all the Elder Scrolls Online players will play it. It'll sell perfectly fine. And it'll be like a 7.5 out of 10 type of experience. I think Mario Golf is going to sell well. What was the last Mario Golf game, to your knowledge?
Not Toadstool Tour. The 3DS one. I don't remember what it was called. World Tour, maybe? Something like that.
Let's look at Toadstool Tour sales. That was GameCube?
That's GameCube.
Oh, boy. It says it released in the 2000, reached 2.5 million units.
On the GameCube?
I feel like, yeah, it's on the GameCube. So
this game gonna sell like 5 million.
Mario Golf World Tour 2014. Let's see that one. I'm looking it up. Mario Golf World Tour. I'm checking the sales now, Spoon. Sales. It doesn't say on here. That's rough. But this got an 8.5 review from IGN. I'm going to say that this Mario Golf Super Rush game, this game looks super awesome. I'm really excited. I think it's gonna get a 9. I think it's gonna get a 9.25.
9.25.
Yes, that's me, being in the middle. And I'm going to say it's going to sell 4 million copies. Because it's Mario Golf, and the other titles that I saw only sold like 2.5. So that's my prediction. It's going to be awesome.
I'm going to go 5 million. I'm going to go 5
million. Oh my god. He's going 5 million. He's going 5 million.
Least.
Okay, 5 million at least.
I'll take your 4 and I'll raise you 5 million.
You son of a... Okay.
And this game is going to be a 10 out of 10. No memes.
This is going to be actually an amazing game. I'm 9.25 is definitely conservative.
I can see this game easily getting a 9. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah,
be really fun.
I feel like this will get a 9. It should. I don't know how it doesn't, unless it's just like a broken game that just doesn't functionally work. And then the last, other than that, we have Scarlet Nexus. So, Scarlet Nexus. We've seen some stuff for it. Okay, now I have to check the trailer because I couldn't find it here. Well, this is the announcement trailer. This one's a recent trailer. Let's go with this one. So this was a March 18th, 2021 trailer for this game.
Now this one is sticking with the cel-shaded anime art style.
Definitely.
That's going to turn some people off.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
But it's also going to turn some people on because they love their waifus.
That's true. That's true also. So it'll both lose customers and gain customers, all for different reasons. The Call of Duty folks are going to say, "Ew, anime." Oh, I just turned off the audio for it because I don't know, like, I never know sometimes. So this game looks like
it's an action RPG.
Yeah, it's an action RPG game. And it was the first time we saw this was at an Xbox event, but it's not exclusive to Xbox.
It's not.
But
I think it's going to be on Game Pass.
Yeah, we think it's going to be on Game Pass. So it's going to be... Well, let's assume it is. So let's assume it's on Game Pass. It's coming out for Xbox, obviously, and PlayStation. PS4. Yep, PS4 and such. So, we've seen a little bit. We've seen the combat of the game. We haven't... I don't know how much story we've really gotten in the grand scheme of things.
Not that much.
And it's like an interesting style of game, now that I'm looking at it again. I think this game, because it's, in this more anime style, I think it's going to get the -1. I think it'll get a 7. And I think the action will be like, if the action is really good, I'll bump that up to a 7.5. It's going to get the anime -1. It's going to sell maybe 750,000 copies. That's my guess. And it's not getting a sequel.
It's not getting a sequel.
It's not getting a sequel because we didn't pay full price for it. So that's exactly what I think is going to happen. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think this game looks cool. I will probably play it. I think it looks good, but you know me, I'm a sucker for JRPGs. Got an anime art style. Looks pretty fun. You got these different like psychokinetic powers going on. I think it looks
sure
cool,
do.
But I kind of agree with you on the sales. They've been advertising it a little bit. It's going to be on Game Pass, though. Game Pass doesn't go to sales. So
correct.
I'll go 1. I'll give it the million. I'll give it the million bump. But
oh my,
sneeze.
Yeah, really. Poor Kate.
And yeah, I think your rating's in the right area. I'll go a little higher and say it'll be solid and get an 8. But
I don't like. I'm only that's just like what I think the critics are gonna give. I'm like, I like some things I see visually. I think the game looks really nice visually. I'm like, for me, like, story, it matters. Like, as long as your story isn't completely Papega, I'm fine with it. But, and that's kind of hard, right? Like, it really is hard to make your story completely Papega. But I mean, like, I'm hoping it does better than that. Like, the game looks interesting at least. I just think critics are gonna be like, oh, -1, 7.5.
Anime.
They're gonna see that. And they're gonna be like, yeah, whatever. But it looks good. I mean, really, it looks visually nice, and the combat it seems like it's pretty fun. I hope it does well. I really do, and I will try this game for sure. I think if there's a demo at some point, I will jump right in and check it out. So that's one I think, June.
Yep, end of June.
Yeah, and it's Oh, I didn't even see PC2. You probably mentioned it, but PC2.
I didn't remember if it was on
PC
or not.
Okay. Any others in June you would like to point out? Again, there's like several more on here. I'm picking and choosing.
Could talk about.
Sure.
But I think we should move on just because of time.
Yeah, sure. I totally understand. There's a lot less coming into like July, August, September, October, blah blah blah. So again, we're not talking about DLCs or anything. Like I personally think we should skip like Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Like it's a port with a bit of extra added touches to it for the controls.
It's gonna sell exceptionally well because it's a freaking.
It's gonna sell super well. People are gonna probably still complain about it, but it'll sell super well.
People are gonna be like, it's not Breath of the Wild. This game sucks.
Yeah. I saw something, by the way, somewhere where I saw it on the Tales of Arise on Twitter. Somebody was like, wow, this Tales of Arise game looks really nice visually. And somebody said, oh, copied Breath of the Wild graphics. And I actually... What? No. Yep. Just take it easy. I almost had an aneurysm. I almost had a brain aneurysm. I was like, wow. I
almost did right there.
I was like, wow. You guys just like... I have to say this. Like, I know, like, for example, there's some Breath of the Wild fans in this chat. Screw you guys sometimes. Like... Other games can exist. You know that, right? Like, other games can exist and do certain things. Like, if they use an art style that looks similar to Breath of the Wild, who cares?
But it doesn't. It doesn't.
Who cares?
Though.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, of course it doesn't. No, of course it doesn't. No, of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Of course it doesn't. It's just like I'm getting tired of it. I'm getting really tired of it. Let other games exist. Breath of the Wild. Calm down. Fans of Breath of the Wild, calm down.
There are other games that are good that aren't Breath of the Wild.
It's just like I'm getting a little tired of it. I really am. It's annoying now. That tweet really triggered me. I know it's only one person. but it triggered me. I got a little heated. I was like, okay, this does not look like Breath of the Wild. Calm down. So, I do see Neo: The World Ends With You, July 27th. I assume you'll want to touch on that. I know it's like it's
a pretty niche series. I would actually go under 1 million sales on this one. I'll definitely play it, but
and review as far as like rating.
I'm gonna say that they're gonna do it justice, and the story's gonna actually be really good, and they're gonna fix the issues with the gameplay. So I'll bump it in the 9 range.
Okay,
actually.
9.
Though to be honest, I doubt it because again, it's like an anime game, so it's gonna
-1
for that for free.
Give it -1.
Realistically, it'll probably get like an 8, but
yeah, I mean, 8.5 would be like pretty great. I feel if like critics gave it that. Okay, August. I'm moving fast. I'm sorry. I'm moving a little fast, if you don't mind. Because Humankind is in August, so I figured you'd want to talk a little bit about Humankind before we end it. But the only other games that I was going to mention for like August and September and October, I was only going to mention just for this is the Kena Bridge of Spirits. My only other one I was going to mention, I know No More Heroes is on here, and that's obviously a thing. New World is 2 I was going to talk about, and then Back 4 Blood is the other one. That was it. I'm going to skip Life is Strange True Colors. So for this, Humankind was delayed to August 17th. That's a PC release. I'm just going to say it for simplicity. It's a game that's very similar to Civilization. It's just not the same developer. I saw something where they had like Australia or something like that.
Yeah, they've announced 2 of the contemporary civilizations now, or cultures.
Yep.
The first one they announced was, with no surprise to anyone, America.
Yeah, of course.
And they were an expansionist. Their unit was a fighter jet, and their emblematic building or district was like a defense building or something like
Okay.
that, like military building
They,
and stuff.
to be fair, they could have picked a lot of things for that.
I mean,
they really could have.
America could have been expansionist, they could have been militarist, or they could have been like a commerce.
They really could have been.
Any
Really.
of those three, in my opinion.
Yep.
So whatever.
Sure.
And the second one they announced, which was this week, because they do one a week on Tuesdays, was the Australia.
Yep.
They're a builder culture.
Okay. Okay. So for Humankind, I don't know the sales numbers of like Civilization 6, for example, but for review, I will say that Civ 6 Metacritic. I will just tell you Civ 6 Metacritic because I think it's important. If it will load. The user score was a 7. Now, this is for Civ 6. Obviously, expansions probably aren't being accounted for in these user reviews.
Who like Civ 5 who really didn't like Civ 6.
Yes.
So they got a dump for that.
Its Metascore was an 88. Those are valuable things to know. And then for Civ 6 sales, I will count the sales for this. By May 2017, the game had sold 2 million copies. We can assume that it's sold more than that, and we're also not accounting for DLCs that have been released. So, how do you think this game will be for sales, and how do you think it's going to be for reviews?
So I was looking a little bit. I think the first Endless Space sold around 1 million.
Okay.
The second Endless Space didn't sell well at all for whatever reason. I don't know the reason for that, but the second one did not do well.
Sure.
This one being more like Civ, I think will sell a little better. So I think it'll be. I don't think it'll do Civ 6, but I think it'll do like between 1 and 1.5 million. Probably seems kind of reasonable.
I think that is reasonable.
And review scores 88.
That's for Civ 6.
Man, they don't have the pedigree that Civ does. But I really like the game.
This is, again, you can either review it for your prediction or the critic prediction. I've been doing critic predictions, so I mean, it's up to you.
I've been trying to, but critic prediction, I think around there. I think like 8.5. Again, it's a safe score, but for me, I think I'll like it enough for it to be like a 9 in my book. To be honest, like I really have liked the open dev so far and like the early going of this game. It's a little rough around the edges, but it's a very early build, so I have faith they'll iron out some of the issues.
Okay, I'm with you. The game was enjoyable. I had fun playing as my military early game thing. That was enjoyable. Yeah. I'm sure I'll try other things and be definitely below average at it, but I'll enjoy it still. Oh, I'm fully aware I'm below average at these types of games.
As long as it's fun.
I enjoy it.
It's not like you're trying to be not that this even exists, but it's not like you're going pro in Humankind. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah. Not trying to be like a content creator, I think is the closest thing to pro in like Civ 6 and that. We have a little bit of time just because like today's like my last class, so it's okay. We can go a little bit more. Kenna, Bridge of Spirits. I'm going to try and find a trailer for it super fast. Kenna, Bridge of Spirits. This is from February 2021. This game looks... There are Civ 6 competitive tournaments.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure
there are. Yeah, there are competitive tournaments for plenty of things.
There's a real like esports scene for Civ 6. I'm sure there are competitive tournaments, but...
So this is a... I'm just checking. This appears to be PlayStation and PC.
Yeah.
This game looks gorgeous. The gameplay looks... I don't know. It looks pretty interesting from what I was looking at. This is just a little bit. But the game looks gorgeous. It just looks interesting. I really liked what I saw. I'm going to say... I can't really give a very heavy prediction on sales. I think this is going to sell about 2 million copies. I think it's going to sell about 2 million copies. I think it's going to get an 8.5. I want it to be a 9 though, because it looks really, really pretty, and the gameplay looks pretty solid. I'm curious how the story plays out.
But Otto, it's basically Breath of the Wild.
the thing is, like, I'm afraid because this looks like something where the story or the plot, the narrative might lend itself towards, it's more of like something revolving nature itself, as it should. I'm scared that it's going to be really simplistic, like, let's protect the planet. It's like, it's like, can we get something a little bit
I actually
on there?
do think that the gameplay, I don't think it'll be necessarily similar to Breath of the Wild, but I like the gameplay to me looks action adventure. The gameplay to me looks like it's going to be similar to Legend of Zelda, like action adventure style, sort of open world exploring. There'll probably be some dungeons here and there, probably some MacGuffins you have to collect.
Sure.
So yeah, I think the gameplay actually will probably be similar to Legend of Zelda in general. Not necessarily Breath of the Wild, but like Legend of Zelda series. I think it'll actually be similar to that.
Which would be fine. Like I said, there's a lot of different things I saw from this trailer that I really liked. That's all I wanted to say. I hope it's a 9. I hope it gets more than 2 million copies, frankly. Those are conservative estimates. 8.5 and 2 million is conservative for me. If it gets more than 2 million, then this game will get a sequel 100% of some kind.
Yep. Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with that.
Okay, so that was Kenna Bridge of Spirits. I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for it. So, I will comment on New World. If you want to talk about No More Heroes 3, you're more than welcome to. It's a very niche series, though. It's like, I feel like No More Heroes 3 is a very niche series. I can't imagine that sells more than like 1 million copies.
Yeah, I would go less, or maybe like 800.
Yeah.
Or something.
I can't imagine it. I'm sure it'll review fairly well. I'm sure it will. New World is Amazon's last bastion of hope. Their gaming studio's last bastion of hope, because they canceled a Lord of the Rings MMO series that they were going to make. There was a Lord of the Rings MMO game that was in the works by Amazon Studios, and they canceled it. This is the Amazon Game Studio's last bastion of hope to have a title that doesn't suck or get canceled. And New World doesn't appear to suck from what I played. It's just very misguided, because it used to be a survival game and now it's an MMO game. It's misguided. That being said, New World will release. It's an MMO. I have no idea what their monetization is in the future, but I do know now that you had to buy the game. So I'm going to assume that this game will sell 1.5 million copies. It's going to get a 6 out of 10.
Wow.
It's going to get a 6 out of 10 as an MMO. Reviewers are going to comment on how it's a paid MMO game. They're going to say it's incredibly misguided and it can't decide whether it's an MMO or survival game like I said it was. And it's going to be just mediocre. It'll be, if you like grinding out a game, you'll like it. If you don't, you won't like it at all. I think it's going to be 6 out of 10. And it's going to sell 1.5 million copies. And I think Amazon Game Studios will shut down as a result. That's my prediction. This game will be the last bastion of hope for Amazon, and it will collapse its game studio.
And it will fail.
And it will not work. I do hope it is better than a 6, though. I thought that there were some things that could work. And I do think that I do kind of want it to be at least okay, so that I can play with, like, I know Hectic was interested in this game, but I think this game will ultimately not work out. I will still play with Hectic. Now, I know he's like saying I promised to play with him. I will still play with you. I'm just telling you. I think my prediction is this game will be the collapse of Amazon Game Studios. They will stop. Because Bezos will see the red in the game studios and go, that's my beach home that I was going to get in some private island. What are you doing? I'm going to have to cancel this now because I can't have my Caribbean home.
You've had a couple shots, and that's it.
They really have. My only other thing I was going to comment on, I'm going to skip Life is Strange True Colors. Back for Blood is going to be awesome. It's going to sell a whopping 4 million copies.
Yeah, no, that game's going to sell well for sure.
It's going to sell 4 million copies, which I think is good. I think that's pretty good sales. And I think it's going to be an 8 out of 10. I don't... No, wait. Now I want to rethink that.
People love Left 4 Dead, dude.
Yeah, now I have to rethink that. I want to say... I was thinking 8 out of 10, but hold on. I have to hold on. I think 9 out of 10. I'm going to say 9 out of 10. The beta was really fun. There were some issues, but the beta was really fun. 9 out of 10. And it's going to sell 4 million copies. Are there any other titles in here, Spoon, that you wanted to mention before we end today, so I can run to class and
Nope. Yeah, I think
hang out?
I think we're good. I'm hoping that the Humankind Open Dev, we have one this weekend. We haven't heard yet.
That's yeah. Do they usually announce it last second?
Thursday, like the last announcement they did was on a Thursday because they do live streams on their channel on Thursday.
Oh right.
Amplitude does. It's not always Humankind, but they've
I
done
see.
Endless Space and they've done Humankind. So
I
if they're
see.
gonna announce something, it'll probably be tomorrow. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, that we obviously didn't talk about every game. I mean, like, again, I didn't talk about Life is Strange. I like the series.
Yeah.
The only thing I have to say is I think the game will be good, but I'm a bit questioning the. It's not time powers; it's like emotion powers. I'm questioning how that will be in the context of the game. I think that'll be far less interesting, in my opinion. So I don't know how that's going to work out. But we didn't talk about every game. I'm sure there's plenty of games on here that people are looking forward to. We didn't talk about really DLCs that much or anything like that. So we'll revisit this, and we'll revisit this like later into September or something, like right around the time Tales releases, and
see how
close we were, and see if New World was in fact the death of Amazon Studios. Which again, I kind of hope it won't be, but it's like, man, they've canceled or like botched a few games already, so it's tough. But anyway, any closing thoughts, Spoon, before we go?
No, we're good. I mean, Tales of Arise, I'm hyped.
So
I want it now.
Oh, okay, take it easy. We got the countdown going already. Last bit of conclusion notes, because I know we're going fast, so I can run to class. I will be streaming on Tuesdays. I'm going to try and stream co-op type games. So again, StarCraft 2 was something I could play if folks wanted to join me. The stream will start around 3 p.m. Pacific time. Like, StarCraft's an option. Like, I'm open to some co-op games that I currently own if people want to join me for that. I'm tentatively open to other games, but I'll have to think about it. There's a couple other games. Tricourage said Fortnite. Oh my god. When, again, 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern is when I'll stream on Tuesday. Spoon will try and stream this week. I assume you'll tweet or mention it in Discord. Please do so. Yep. Depending on, I mean, not depending, but like what, and let us know what game you're streaming, and check out our YouTube and such, please. And if you like our channel here on Twitch, you should follow. And on YouTube, if you like what we talked about here, if you have a game you're looking forward to, you should comment it and let us know what it is. And give us like an example review of a game that we didn't talk about. Give us an example of like what you think the sales will be and what the review will be. Okay, that's going to do it. Thanks, Spoon. Thanks, everybody in chat. We'll see you guys either later this week with Spoon, this weekend with Spoon and the anime TV show, which is World Ends With You. Yep. Or we'll see you Tuesday or Wednesday for my stream or the podcast. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.